r/AskReddit. Floyd96 says, "What's the worst I hate to break it to you moment you had with someone?" Gakwa says, "I had a guy working for me that was extremely nice, easy to get along with, and wildly inept. Not even like low effort, but just not capable of learning seemingly basic tasks. We tried everything. Coaching, giving him legitimate checklist instructions, having a team lead sit with him for a couple weeks, to walk him through basics, everything. Everyone said the same thing. He just couldn't do the job. Everything he did had to be double checked by somebody else, which meant that we might as well have somebody else do it. But everyone liked the guy, they thought he was easygoing and cool to be around, everything. But still he just straight up couldn't do that job. So I had to find another place for him in the company that would better match his skills. The option would be for him to either take the lower job with lower pay or he would be fired with severance. I was not looking forward to the conversation. I called him in for a one-to-one to break it to him, and the first thing he started with was, "Hey boss, before we start I just want to tell you that I really feel like I've been doing a great job here and I would like to talk about a raise." Yeah, that conversation was not a fun one. What Problem says, "Oof, the complete lack of self-awareness on his end makes it even worse somehow." Pink Vision says, "He probably thought he was doing well because everyone liked him and was very nice to him. Dang, slash." Swishy Muffin says, "Not me, but I went to visit my dad at his job and he has an employee there who was kind of bragging to his other co-workers about how well he has been doing at the job and thinking of asking for promotion. My dad later told me that he fired that guy later that day due to poor performance despite multiple attempts to help him, lol." Garden Girl says, "That happened with someone my husband worked with. Everyone stopped helping him because of his bragging. Once that happened, everything he touched was a complete disaster." The 42 Hitchhiker says, "The Midas touch. Every workplace has at least one." Nothin Dom here says, "I had to tell my friend that the online girlfriend he'd been talking to for months was actually a scammer using stolen photos. He was planning to send her money to come visit, and breaking the news to him was one of the toughest conversations I've ever had." Iard Seaton says, "So my friend had a similar thing going on. Claimed to have talked a bunch on the phone, and we didn't really believe him. Eventually, she asked for money for a ticket, and we were all like, there it is. And he finally believed us. He decided to put it to a test, to prove it once and for all, and told her that he bought her a ticket for the flight, assuming she'd make up an excuse to get out of it. He didn't really buy the ticket, assuming he was just calling out the catfisher. Well, to his surprise, the day of, he got a call from her at the airport, panicking because they couldn't find the ticket. He managed to play it off as a mistake and was able to get her on the flight. She really was the big titty goth girl from the photos. They dated for 5 years and she came out every summer for like 5 years before they grew apart." Ebabumman says, "So he had to buy a ticket on the spot? That's rough." Finn Jerslam Grandpa says, "My best friend in high school was overweight and would sweat profusely. We would come in after lunch in Texas and he would smell awful. I think he would wear his clothes without washing them after sweating. We had English after, and the axe sucked, so teacher put a fan in the window. He would sit in front of the fan and blow his funk over everyone. The class got together and voted that I should be the one to tell him. Well, I had to break it to him that for the last year he has smelled horribly. I felt pretty bad, but he never stunk again." E8282 says, "This is way more of a homie help out than a hate to break it to you. It's absolutely an awkward conversation, but I'm sure he was happy someone said something." Finn Jerslam Grandpa says, "He was fairly defensive in the beginning. It took a little convincing, but after a few minutes, I got to him." Cool Newspaper says, Oof, definitely the time I had to tell a friend that the business opportunity he was so excited about was actually a pyramid scheme. He was so hyped, talking about how he was going to quit his job and be his own boss. I tried to ease into it, but there's really no soft way to say, hey man, you're about to lose a lot of money and ruin your friendships. Quack says, I had a roommate who had lunch with an old college buddy one time who told him about this great business venture he could join and gave him a lot of the details of it, including some paperwork. His friend told him several times it's not an MLM. It was for Amway. You know, one of the earliest MLMs. Thronily says, his friend told him several times it's not an MLM. If they feel the need to insist it's not an MLM, it's totally an MLM. Avocado Toast 93 says, my sister-in-law. My niece plays field hockey and I love her. She plays in 2 different leagues, meaning it's 3 hours of field hockey games every Saturday and Sunday. My sil expected me and my husband to drive an hour one way both days to watch niece play and pay rapt attention the whole time. Did I mention the games are at 7 AM? We did this about once a month on either Saturday or Sunday, and I guess this wasn't enough for her. We had to tell her that we loved niece, but we weren't going to be as involved as she was in the league. r/AskReddit. Thibedidant says, what's a secret that you kept for someone way too long? What happened after you exposed it? Danelius 13920 says, I kept my brother's secret about him cheating on his wife. I told her about it, and it was really bad. She was devastated, and I felt terrible about it. I don't know how to say sorry. So Spasm says, MF, you weren't the one cheating. You deserve a thank you for showing the truth. Ladder Cordelius Jedit says, kept my sister's emotional abuse of me secret because I was trying to be loving and forgiving. I finally broke and tearfully begged my parents for help. They denied it was abuse and asked me to leave my home because space will be good for all of us. I now live in my car and I'm working through my emotional reluctance to disown them. But I found a house to rent, so on October 1st I'll have a home again. For now I'm working on restarting my life as an orphan and finally admitting I've always been their least valued child and they will never change, so I should give myself the value and protection they denied. Victoria Sable says that I'm bisexual. I never hid it, but I never claimed it. Then my kids got old enough they were asking, and I just came out to my partner too. After exposing it, I felt a new level of freedom and confidence. Armia says, I kept a friend's struggle with anxiety a secret for years, wanting to protect them. When I finally encouraged them to share, it was liberating for both of us. Their burden lifted, and our bond deepened. It taught me that, while secrets can isolate, honesty fosters connection and strength. Big End 8883 says, when I 23 female was around 5 years old, I had a sleepover at my grandparents' house with my older sister, 27, and cousin 23 male. We were all small kids and shared a bed together to sleep in that night. Harmless, right? At some point he woke me up, and I guess you could say tricked me into doing an inappropriate act on him. Yes, he was also the same age as me. Turns out his mom had a friend who did things to him. Yes, they are all still friends. Sick in the head fcause, no, my older sister did not wake up. The next day I told my mom and grandma that my cousin had done something last night while we were supposed to be asleep that was weird. I never came out and told exactly what happened. I didn't know how. Until. Backstory, he was considered a minor, 16Y/0, so he never got fully charged or listed on the sex offenders list, but he was found guilty for doing something to a little boy multiple times. Pretty sure he made the little boy perform the same act on that he made me. He got his girlfriend pregnant and was getting married. he was having a son. Considering his history, it raised an eyebrow within my household. Conflict began when my dad called him out. Privately, no one else was around, and my cousin got super offended and told the family what my dad said, which I still believe to be 100% true. After that is when I let the family know he put his thing in my mouth. My family didn't know that's what happened. This is coming on 2 years now, and holidays are so dramatic. I don't even want to be in the same room as his family now that everyone knows the truth. And you know what else? My grandma is pissed I don't want to come around. She knows what he did, but it's her grandbaby, so she doesn't care. Frick off so hard. Professor Cream P529 says, my real name. Went to bar, and the bartender asked if I wanted to open a tab, and I said my real name. FWB of about 10 years had no idea. Chewed Up Life says, now I'm not telling, even if I'm no longer friends with those whom have told me their deepest darkest secrets. I pride myself in being trustworthy. OK Relative 5783 says, I knew an embarrassing secret about a friend in our group. I told a friend outside our group about it, and we shared a laugh. One drunk night, that friend brought it up to the group, and I was like, wait, I never shared that to the group. Hold up. It became the hot story in our group that kept getting brought up. I haven't talked to the friend that the embarrassing secret was about since, and he doesn't meet up with us anymore. JCRO86 says, for a long time, I was going through some mental turbulence around a private matter. My wife and I were separated, and stress always caused this mental turbulence to become more prevalent, so I got drunk one night and told her about the feelings I'd had for so long. We eventually got back together, but we were never the same, and our marriage eventually imploded. This was 10 years ago, we separated about 2 years later. We are still real close friends. It sucks that our marriage ended, but I don't regret it, because now she has 2 amazing kids, and she always wanted to be a mom, but we never had any luck. I was finally able to shake the mental turbulence just last year, and I've never felt better in my life. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.